So I just share with my thinking or my commitment. So now some questions.
Yes. Thank you, Your Holiness. Thank you for your wisdom and for sharing how you're committed to bringing compassion to our world. When I met with you last year, I asked you a personal question, which is I said, how do you remain joyful in the face of suffering? And you said to me, serve other people, help other people, and that will bring joy. When you serve yourself, then you're going to experience unhappiness. And so because of that wisdom, we created the Compassion Scholars Program to identify young people who want to make their community more compassionate in our state, in keeping with your wisdom and the wisdom of, as you said, many thousands of years. And so we have 6 compassion scholars here who have traveled with us, and some of them would like to share, with your permission,
Yes.
their projects with you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We start with Henry.
Sit, 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 sit.
Yesterday,
Sit. No need formality. I don't like formality. This additional barrier. Informal.
Aida Fakngai. First of all, I just want to say thank you for your message. So my name is Henry Howe, and I'm in my last year at Seattle Central College. I have 2 problems that I want to address in my community. One is that many young people live in families where they don't often get to see their grandparents, and it's maybe because they live far away, or like me, they come from an immigrant family and find trouble clearly communicating. And at the same time, there's another problem that many older people also feel a sense of loneliness, a lack of companionship, or they just don't have that many people around, especially young people. And I want to start a program that brings older people into elementary schools to spend time with young kids doing things like playing cards and sharing stories with each other without technology, but interacting face to face. And I believe that love and compassion is a universal language, and that simple interactions like this serve to break the language barrier and has the capacity to go a long way.
As I mentioned earlier, you see, it is very important. We should have sense of oneness of 7 billion human beings. I believe that. So wherever I go, as soon as I met someone who drew eyes, one nose, I smile. They also respond same way. So no problem. If I too much emphasis, I'm Tibetan, I'm Buddhist, then that concept creates barrier. So you should think, we are same human being, 7 billion human being, mentally, emotionally, physically, we are same. I think eventually you may find nice girl. So no differences about the color or religion or nationality. So, like that. So it is very important, very useful, sense of oneness of human being. Okay.
Tashi Delay, Your Holiness, thank you for the opportunity to listen to you speak. My name is Kaya. I'm a student from Washington Virtual Academy, and I was foster kid. Foster kids.
Foster kid.
Yes.
So foster kids are children who have been taken away from their biological parents due to abuse or neglect, and they often they live with other people until they're adopted, which sometimes take a while. I live in a family of 6 children, all who were adopted from harmful situations, so I understand. what foster kids go through. The life of a foster kid is usually very lonely, and it's very hard, and they are always moving around. So they need some place to put their stuff, just in a moment's notice. And there aren't really bags for them to put their stuff, so they have to opt for trash bags, and that makes this horrible situation even worse. I want to create a project that makes pillowcase bags for these children that are happy and nice, and they spread a message for foster kids. I want to use my experiences of my past and of what I learned in Dharamsala, like the Tibetan Children's Village, where I noticed all the kids were so kind to each other, and I was able to notice compassion in action, kids being compassionate to other kids, and I want to recreate this in my community. I want foster kids to know that they are loved and that there are people who care for them, and I want my project to be a way for my community to express and exercise compassion.
가사.
파메기 전교가 우마치네 부.
가.
파메기 부 전교가 우마치어체. 엔젤 부강에 뭐 스테인디 부디게 참고 순술라. 투토 안서다 가고서 보여드릴 진 강에 되요레스. 다든데 인디 강에도 도와야 된다 뭐라는 게 답은 때 사실 요스.
가.
디디 다음 도와야 된다라. 본소 강에 슈치고 왔어. 사실 신지 보여드릴 진디. 애님도 지규 메워다. 사실을 된자 메워다 들으신. 다든데 인디 뭐데 랭디 베베치소단 하고도 그림 록다다 들으나 부소 냠도 로진 요바다 펜주 제와 요바다 근데 통이 디냠용 통이 프랑스 페게 저기 가서 포스터 키티 밤에 파티제 이거 되게 콘조 루 요바다 파도 제와 요바다 지 덴자 요바로 레자지 배 차시 요스.
I think these must depend our own view. Just my community, my nation. And then, finally, my family. So you become something a little bit sort of small. And then you see, visit different place. So you feel something entirely different. But here, the sense of oneness of humanity. Then wherever you go, then still human brothers, sisters. So very much depend on our mental attitude. As I mentioned earlier, wherever I go, I always have the feeling we are same. So wherever I go, I always smile. And then if the other person not smiling, then I do this. So like that. So we are same. That's very important. You see, if I consider I'm His Holiness Dalai Lama, then on this planet, just one Dalai Lama. So I feel lowly. So I emphasize I'm just a human being. Then plenty of my brothers, sisters, no problem. So mental level, think entire humanity, one community. We have to live side by side. That's the reality. Not think my nation, my community, my family. Don't think that much. Okay.
Thank you. Tashidale, and good morning, Your Holiness.
Tashidale.
I wanted to take a minute to say thank you so much for the opportunity to listen to you speak. My name is Natalie Gomez, and I'm in grade 11 at White River High School. And today in my community, there's been an increase in poverty and homelessness. This increase has continued to spark controversy among my neighbors and friends and has led to actions and words that are less than compassionate. My plan is to work with my local newspaper to highlight and elevate the stories of the homeless in my area. I want people to see that the homeless are families, children, veterans, and hardworking people who deserve the human right of dignity. It's been my experience that human nature is to care and have compassion for our fellow brothers and sisters. So if I can get people to see the human that homelessness has affected, it'll be easier for my community to have compassion.
Gherla. This we should. 지 굽자 숙이. 가.
외주의 개발 정책.
우주공.
안되네 망고지 남에 와서는 홈리스 사태 가는 수행 루스. 근데 이 나오는 주소는 가지고 나오는 강행 제가 먹고 있다. 근데 지금 간단 남에 내가 되게는 지금 미 두시면 서로 통중 계속 봐. 근데 다들 니도 와야 된다는 거라면 수수사자가 내 잡에 요스카이즈는 빼주기 가로 냐면 되는 미만 혹시 마음이 있다. 미만 혹시 내진보다 혹시 남에 가는다. 이제 외주 개발
Basically, I think in modern world, people, you see, with modern education, you see, too much think about material value, not much sort of care about basic human value. So that's, I think, our education. I think eventually education should include about, you see, the compassion, warm-heartedness, these things. As I mentioned earlier, hygiene of emotion. So, that entire world just thinking material thing, materialistic life, materialistic culture. So here and there are some problems that overcome and will not overcome because of overnight. Take time. I think if we make effort now, beginning of 21st century, I think in education, mainly education, some deeper human value and sense of oneness of human being, these in education, then new generation who come through that kind of education, then will be a little different. So this is the beginning of 21st century. If we make some effort through education, then later part of this century can be more happier, more peaceful. So with inner peace and sense of oneness of a human being, then all problem which humanity face is basically, they also want happy life, I also want happy life, and therefore the little different things we have to solve through dialogue, not using weapon. So sometimes I describe this century should be century of dialogue. Keep the other person, other party, also our human brothers, sisters. So little differences, we have to, through dialogue, to talk. And they also need we also need them. That's the reality. So much better solve these problems through mutually equitable solution, through talk, not by weapon. I think using weapon, it's outdated. In ancient time, small community, and then, and I think, I usually describe, I feel, concept of war, violence, is very much related with feudal system, feudalistic society, kings, queens. You see, they give order, go there, kill them. That's a feudal system. I think each soldier, if you ask do you want to die for your nation? I don't think. I think each soldier loves their own life. So I think soldier also prefer solve problem through talk peacefully. So my hoping is gradually, firstly, one time in some Nobel laureate, one meeting, you see, some Nobel laureate, this is Costa Rica, I think Costa Rica, Costa Rica. Now he suggested, you see, the selling weapon should stop as a first step. Then gradually, you see, reduce weapon. So eventually, I think this century can be demilitarized world. It's possible to achieve. So any problem through dialogue, try to solve. We also, you see, regarding Tibet issue, firstly, 6 million Tibetan, 6-7 million Tibetan, no matter how warrior, how sort of heroic way, we cannot defeat Chinese. So practically also, and also you see, Jawaharlal Nehru, Indian Prime Minister, first Indian Prime Minister, he advised me, you should talk with Chinese government. Then also he mentioned America, very powerful, but not go to war with China in order to liberate Tibet. He told me. It's realistic. So I follow his advice. Then 74, we decided not seeking independence, not seeking separation. So then 77 and 78, 78. So some signs from Chinese leader, they want to talk. So then we start some delegation from here, go to Tibet and also China. And so we start direct contact with Chinese. As a result, there's a number of Tibetan from Tibet come here, study, and including many monk students, at least I think over 10,000 Tibetan, young Tibetan. Some join our monastic institution, some join our school here. Our school also, Pandit Nehru advised me, the important is giving education to younger Tibetan. That is the proper way to keep Tibet issue alive, not just raising Tibet issue at the UN. When I sort of request him, we are sort of raising Tibetan issue at the UN. So if government of India also they can raise Tibetan issue, if not, please support. Then I mentioned we are not sort of expecting some immediate result, but in order to keep Tibet issue alive, then Pandit Nehru told me, real method to keep Tibetan issue is give proper education, younger Tibetan generation. Very realistic. So then also you see he agree, since we have our own language, and with that some Tibetan own sort of some certain knowledge. So we need separate Tibetan school. Pandit Nehru fully support. Like that. So therefore, we are not seeking separation. We fully committed remain within the People's Republic of China. And that also some serious sort of point. If we emphasize independence of Tibet, then according to similar convention, 1914, the outer Tibet, inner Tibet, or outer Tibet is those areas which under Tibetan government jurisdiction. That's outer Tibet. That area, the population around less than 2 million. Then inner Tibet, including my own birthplace, Amdo and Kham. These are inner Tibet, which closer to China. So they describe inner Tibet. So since we are not seeking independence, you see, even we get independence, just around 2 million Tibetan. Then, since we are not seeking independence, separation, so we can ask Chinese government, all Tibetan area, you see, no differences outer or inner. This is all Tibetan, which Chinese constitution recognized as a Tibetan area. So they arrange Tibetan autonomous region, Tibetan autonomous district, Tibetan autonomous county, and Tibetan autonomous Kazakh prefecture, like that. Like that. So we should have same right, preserve our own culture, our own religion, and include language, should have same right, all Tibetan, which constitution recognized as a Tibetan area. So then the population around 6 to 7 millions. So since 74, as Pandit Nehru's sort of advice, you see, we are not seeking independence. So now, since then, you see, we developed direct contact with the Chinese government, and also from here, we have the opportunity to send fact-finding delegation. Because 78, 79, delegation from here is sent to Tibet and also China. So that really very helpful to inside Tibet. Their spirit very strong, and then on top of that, when they receive some delegation from here, they know our establishment here with full support of Indian government. Then you see they feel much much spirit. And then also, you see, after they return, you see, they told us the high spirit inside Tibet, that also, you see, help us to keep our spirit. So therefore, you see, not some political sort of shouting or thing, but so peacefully, you see, we create Tibetan spirit very strong. And then meantime, many students, as I mentioned earlier, many students come from Tibet and join here. So basically we call this method, we call middle wave approach, not separation, but within Chinese, People's Republic of China, we should have sort of the all Tibetan, as I mentioned earlier, all Tibetans should have same right. So now, attitude from Chinese leaders, some changing. So we'll see. Next 2-3 years, some change. But some Chinese always ask me, I should return. And I told them clearly, I prefer India. There's a freedom. And media, free media, like this kind of program. So from here, I can talk with people from distance. See, physical distance, not much sort of relevant, isn't it?
Yes.
So because of India's freedom, if I return China, no, I think such freedom. So I told some Chinese who insist on I should return. I told them, short visit China at a meeting, particularly Buddhist. Now, Buddhist population in China, now nearly 400 millions. So now China become the biggest number, greatest number of Buddhist population, like that. So I'm very much willing to serve them, to help them as much as I can. But remain permanently there, I don't like. India's freedom spoiled me. So freedom, very important. Totalitarian system, not good. So I prefer, telling them, Chinese who insist on me, I should return. I told them, short visit, yes, and including pilgrimage, yes, but the permanent residence, I prefer India. And firstly, India, land of Buddha, Buddha's land. Buddhism come from India. So I'm a student of Nalanda Institution. So when we come to India as a refugee, one way, very sad, we become refugee. One way, our original place, all Tibetan, so Buddhist knowledge or Tibetan culture come from this country. So we reach the original, the kind of source of Tibetan culture, these things. So, and then some question.
We have one more project.
Tachina.
Tashdele Gamumbche, Gaming la Sonchi Jokani, Nalaptela
I
Shorewood.
think English.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I go to Shorewood High School, and I'm in 10th grade. As a Tibetan, I've experienced people not understanding other people's cultures and heritage, and this can lead to discrimination and stereotypes. With my project, I hope to raise funds and money to make through making T-shirts and other types of merchandise, to give money to my friend and also fellow Compassion scholar, whose Compassion project focuses on making conversations about discrimination and stereotypes, and then she'll go deeper into that.
Very good, very good. Now, generally, wherever Tibetans live, whether in India or in America and Europe, generally, local people very much appreciate Tibetan, peaceful, compassionate. So, a Tibetan, wherever they live, you should carry Tibetan spirit, Tibetan culture, compassionate culture. That's important. Okay.
Dashadale, Your Holiness. My name is Kaylee Myers, and I'm a 9th grader at Edmonds High School. Like Santry, I'm interested in removing stereotypes in my local community. As a result, we will be collaborating to destroy these borders by implementing a compassion club inspired by our own experiences here in Dharamsala. In this compassion club, we will organize service projects that will help students give back to their communities and challenge stereotypes. At the same time, by serving communities and educating different communities different from our own.
그래서
미리 파수라 기술시에 지금 지식 기술시에 이렇게 하면 도와야 된다. 그래서 compassion clubs 해줘서 우리 돈에 네팔 밀로 지혜다.
very good, thank you. Now I prefer some question from distance.
Yes.
Any question?
Yes.
Do you heard? Do you hear my voice?
Your Holiness, they can hear you, but they can only see and hear you. But we have taken questions from all over the state, including people who are in these venues.
Yes.
We've asked them to submit questions to us, and so we've selected some of the best ones to share with you. And so one of them right now is at Seattle University on the left. Mark Marculi, if you can hear me. Other screen, please. Oh, okay. So Mark, wave, if you could. So Mark Marculi, he's the Dean of Theology at Seattle University, and this was his question for you. He said, "You have been encouraging more compassionate responses to the world's problems for many years, and particularly among leaders. From your perspective, what are the most destructive political or cultural behaviors that diminish our collective ability to learn and practice compassion?"
그래서 참새. I think, as I mentioned earlier, our education, firstly, not much take care about our emotion, firstly, inner world. Then the leaders present to the generation come from that kind of education. So naturally, see, they also, you see, thinking their own nation. So a little bit sort of also they are narrow-minded. So due to that, now, for example, American president, he expressed America first. I feel the America, leading nation of free world, should take care about the global level. So these are understandable, just one's own nation, like that. So I think these are basically the education. Existing education is not adequate. So whole generation come through that kind of education is naturally that kind of thinking. Okay.
Thank you. We have another question from someone listening in Seattle. We will not be able to see him, but he's listening. And this is from Father Mike Ryan, who's a pastor at the Catholic St. James Cathedral in Seattle. So his question for you is, you exude an inner joy to everyone who encounters you, and yet your life has been lived in exile and deprivation with many challenges. How can we maintain a spirit of joy in a world where people, including people of faith, seem to be at each other's throats?
그래서 그럼 I think here, according to our experience, not only just me, you see, who practice compassion. One my friend, he spent about 18 years in Chinese Gulag. So he told me, during 18 years, some cases he really faced danger. And I thought, danger may be his life. And I asked, what kind of danger? His answer is, danger losing compassion towards those troublemakers. So people generally consider practice of compassion is something very important. That really, you see, gives inner strength. Chinese people, as that person expressed, Chinese people also, human brothers, sisters, historically, very close link. So for temporary, some kind of ideology, some kind of political system, some sort of problem created. But basically, we are same human being. So therefore, according to my own experience, sometimes in Tibet, there's a lot of suppression happen. Then I visualize some of these Chinese leaders, and I practice give and take. Give means give my patience, compassion to them, and take their anger, suspicion, take. So through visualization. So that, of course, no help to solve the actual problem. But in order to keep peace of mind, my own mind, immense help. So I practice these things. So like that. And then I utilize my sort of intelligence. So if I lose anger, what benefit? Much better if you let too much anger and your sleep suffer.
Yeah.
Your food also then no longer taste.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
So it is something, anger is self-destruction. So without anger, compassionate mind, you can sort of create some sort of friendly atmosphere, and selfishly, I always 9 hours sleep. Any problem. And then food, always tasteful. So if I lose much anger, I suffer. So I'm selfish, think myself. Is try to keep peace of mind.
Thank you. Some of our questions come from some of the delegates in this room. And so, with your permission, I'd like to invite Colin Pearson to ask his question.
Thank you, Your Holiness. My name's Colin Pearson. I'm an educator in Seattle. And as a teacher of ethics, I'm often dismayed at the fact that the way my students hear about ethics is when something's already gone wrong. An ethics violation, or there's an ethics investigation of a public figure. So I'm interested in what ways we can shift the public conversation through working with young people so that our conversations about ethics become about building compassion and creating positivity as opposed to identifying and punishing wrongdoing.
I think, you see, I think emphasis, compassion, warm-heartedness, is a matter of one's own health, one's own happiness. So it's a practice of loving kindness or compassion is, I think, best way to keep your own peace of mind. So since many years, I use the word, is we are selfish. With that sort of selfish, take care of yourself. Whole evolution, you should develop that way. So now we should be wise selfish rather than foolish selfish. Take care of oneself and then think me. That's a foolish selfish. And think other. We are a social animal. Individuals sort of happy life entirely depend on the rest of the community. That's fact. So therefore, you see, taking care of other is the best way to get your own happiness. So we should be wise, selfish, taking care of other. Ultimately, you get maximum benefit.
Thank you. We had another question from a member of our delegation, Amy Hadean, so I'll just pass the mic to you.
Thank you, Christina. Your Holiness, my name is Amy Hadean, and I work with business leaders, teaching them about the human side of business. And
Human side of business.
my question for you is, you have been a leader for many, many, many years, and you have faced many challenges and many difficulties, yet you remain so optimistic and so energetic. How do you keep your energy and optimism during the most difficult time?
My energy, I think 2 years ago, I visited East India. So at that time, one Indian politician joined also. So within few days, we become very close friends. Then one morning, we met. He asked me about your sleep, rest, and how. And then I told him, no problem. I always 9 hours sleep, and then 4 hours meditation. So my mind sharpening. So as a result, I can cheat other people more easily. that is his response is, he only sleep 6 hours, so he cannot cheat other people. So, I think mainly these things, you see, thinking, the way of thinking, more altruistic. Some sort of our practice, the altruism, infinite altruism, then the whole phenomena appears positive. Sometimes I little bit sort of critical view some of the deities, very wrathful deity, so I criticize them. To whom they sort of feel they show some kind of a wrathful sort of face. Meaningless. So, entire sentient being, entire human being, everybody loves compassion, warm-heartedness. So warm-heartedness is real precious thing in order to bring inner peace and peaceful atmosphere, friend. So, human compassion, I think our life, when we're born, immediately, mother show us affection. We also do not know what is that person, but totally relying on mother. That is human nature. And other animals also, we can see, birds also. The father is something different. The mother really, you see, taking care, their youngster. And youngsters also, you see, their survival entirely depend on mother. That's basic nature. Then at the time of our death, dying, with some gold or diamond or dollar, you see, not much help, dying person. More worry, oh, my money, who use this money like that? Or surrounded with your trusted friend, showing affection, then the dying person feel much happier. So that's nature. So our life begins with tremendous mother's affection. I usually describe my mother is my first teacher about compassion. My mother, so sort of compassionate. I think all her sort of children, my brothers, sisters, we never saw angry face. My mother, very peaceful, very compassionate. So in my village, very small village, so naturally, you see, no toys, nothing. So my mother always carried me on her shoulder. So eventually I found very comfortable on my mother's shoulder. And then I become a little bit aggressive, hold my mother's ear when I want to go this side. If not, listen to me, then I shout. So my mother, so kind, so a little bit spoiled me. So these days, I really feel my first teacher of compassion is my mother. So family level, family sorrow as a level, I think the parent and particularly mother, I think the maximum affection to the children. And then that experience, you see, should carry eventually when we join school. I think school teachers should talk more about basic human value, not only talk about brain. So eventually, now in India, we already, you see, some program, teachers training about inner value from kindergarten level. So like that.
Thank you. Our next question comes from a woman based in Seattle, and her work is focused on helping businesses act in a compassionate manner, actually based on your teachings. Her name is Bonnie Gherla. Her question is, how does one convey that the practice of compassion takes strength and courage rather than weakness and softness, especially as we look to address the business sector?
그래서 그래. No, that I think is totally wrong. The compassion brings inner peace and also self-confidence. So that is the basis of determination and willpower. So compassion is the source of determination, willpower. I feel that like that. So I think my own case, age, I think, I think 13, my freedom lost. Then age, 24, I lost my own country. Then a lot of sad news from Tibet. But more sad news come. It brings more willpower. And since I often see expressing our struggle between weapon and compassion, truth. So weapon, power of weapon is for temporary. Power of truth always remain, generation to generation, century to century remain. So ultimately, it's our strength with compassion, with honest, truthful, mutual benefit. So our struggle, this is real sort of source of our strength. So more problem, more sort of determination. If something selfish, then some difficulties come. and then discourage or demoralize. Since our struggle entirely based on compassion and truth, and also realistic, not seeking separation, independence, but within China. So the method, more realistic method, and motivation or compassion. So therefore, you see, more problem, so more determination. Okay.
Thank you. Our next question is less focused on the personal and more to the point of global issues. And I'd like to invite Nick Bumpass to ask that one. If you would.
Thank you. Hello, Your Holiness. Thank you for your time today. My name is Nick Bumpass, and I represent workers and their unions back in Washington State. My question is that one major problem with addressing climate change is that people fear losing their jobs, especially if they work in industries such as manufacturing or other similar industries. How can we solve the most serious problem in a way that is compassionate to those concerns for those people?
Now, compassion, concern, naturally, is the entire humanity, is our brothers, sisters, and we have to think the benefit of future life, of a future of humanity. So now, the global warming, quite serious. According to my own experience, when I was in Tibet, so elder people told me, when they were young people, as young people, had many mountains surround Lhasa, a lot of snow. Now, within their own lifetime, reduce. Then I came here in 1960. So that winter, a lot of snow. And we also play snowball, like that. Then each year, less. Now, much less snow. So we actually experienced global warming. Then, according to some scientist, some expert, now, within next 70, 80 years, global warming reach such a level, so eventually world become desert. So very serious, very serious. So American president, I think, withdraw from Paris. Oh, I think better. No, of course, I have no right to say, but as an individual free expression, America as a leading nation, I think should remain, and then should take the care about environment. Very important, very important. Now, global warming, if people believe God, pray to God. I don't think God also, you see, difficult to control with global warming. So therefore, we should take, although the global warming by nature, according to some Buddhist text, the whole galaxies, one occasion burned, one occasion too much wind and disappear like that. So now, our period, the millennium, the burning. So global warming is some indication about that. Gradually, whole world burned and disappear. Whole galaxies. And then again, new galaxies come. And from Indian tradition, we believe life after life. So we have to born again here. and and see some complaint here and there, complaint. So global warming, very, very serious matter.
Thank you. And I've just gotten the warning that you have time for 2 more questions.
Okay.
And so I'd like to make sure to ask one from one of the watch parties, the official watch parties that are watching now. This one comes from the Edmonds Center for the Arts. Her name is Kristin Knudsen, and her question is, how do we support children who have disabilities that are severe and profound?
가서 가래. 네. The other day, I met one young lady. I sort of today very, very damaged, so cannot see. Then I told her, says the sensorial, 5 sensorial consciousness, not very important. Important is 6th mind, according to Indian tradition, the 6th mind, chit. So 5 senses organs, then main mind. So our happiness and sadness, you see, not sensorial level, but the 6th mind. So sensorial, even not working, but still 6th mind there. You see, you can practice compassion. Anger come from 6th mind. Happiness, joyfulness, and compassion also, you see, come from 6th mind. So till this brain remain, this body remain, even blind, or because of deaf survey. You see, that's not much sort of important, the 6th mind. I told her, so should not too much worry, because eyesight no longer there. I told them like that. So of course, very sad, you see, who lost eyesight or hearing sight, these things. But then we have to think, we have to prepare, we have to think that under worst cases, how to give peace of mind.
Thank you. And then for our final question, I'd like to hand the microphone over to Arthur Emery to ask you a question about children.
Thank you, Christina, and thank you, Your Holiness, for your time. My name is Arthur Emery. I'm a business owner and an educator in Seattle, and I work with students primarily on their emotional health. And my question is, besides compassion, what's the most important thing we can teach our children to help support their emotional health?
가자. I think through action. And I think, firstly, family. Or sometimes my mother, as I mentioned earlier, very, very loving, kind mother. My father, not like that. My father, you say, loves pork. So in Dalai Lama's kitchen, no sort of serving porks. So I quite often visit my father and sit beside him and waiting some piece of pork. So then sometimes, you see, the fat from pork, you see, put his mustache. Then sometimes he lost his temper and beat me. So I think the family level, I think maximum sort of affection to children. Then important is education field in class, even without special text, the teacher should show affection to the student and smile. Then let student feel when they come the class, they should have some kind of feeling of happy. Oh, my class full of joy, my teacher smiling and take care about my whole life. Or let them feel that way. Or if teacher may be expert but without smile, and also angry face, then I think student, when class time of class come, student feel, oh, now. I think even without any sort of proper text, the attitude of teacher, I think, very important. So family provide maximum affection. Then classroom teacher should show as a maximum sort of kindness or affection. And then eventually I think we will find some text, how to train our emotion. As I mentioned earlier, we already sort of working. So firstly, within India, I think we will start on these sort of text. Then you can, you also can share like that. Okay.
Your Holiness, thank you so much for being so generous with your time. You're so kind to spend so much valuable time with us. Thank you to Tashila, who made this possible, and Tashi, and thank you to your office. I want you to know that on behalf of all of us in Washington State, we wish you good health.
Thank you.
We send you our love, and we say thank you, and we will put your wisdom to work in our state for compassion for all Washingtonians, for all Americans.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
As I mentioned earlier, America leading nation of free world and the most powerful. So America very, very important. Many nations, I think including China, copy about American sort of value. Okay. So politically, some different sort of expression. But the reality, I think many people really loves America, I feel. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.